Ayy, look, yeah, ayy. I'm in the lab like Dexter, brand new batch he tested. I'm with all the extras, don't try and bitch, I'm pressure. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers.
We'll go ahead and move on to the NBA CBA rules, the new CBA rules that have just been announced. The NBA and the NBA Players Association have agreed to a minimum number of games played, which is 65, for players to be eligible to win major individual league awards such as the MVP award, the Rookie of the Year award, and stuff like that. What do we feel about that?
I mean, like, I feel like for MVP, 65 games has always been the minimum. It's been an unwritten rule. It doesn't like it's been a guaranteed. Nobody, I don't think anybody's ever won MVP playing less than 65 games. It's just not possible unless it was like a shortened season,
Go on.
2021, 2020. But yeah, probably back then or something. But
Back then, yeah, that was
other
about
than
it.
shortened seasons during COVID, nobody's won MVP winning playing less than 25 games. But I was 65 games, but with regards to all NBA, that's where stuff gets a little bit interesting with guys. That's where I feel like now a lot matters with playing guys like Michael Bridges is gonna make first team all NBA, man. Like they're gonna play. He's gonna make sure to play all 82 of his games. But I feel like that's where the biggest difference matters. And we were having this discussion yesterday. It's gonna affect like high profile superstars like LeBron and Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, guys who how recent years have shown that they are vulnerable to injuries. They're losing a bit of durability. Even guys like Joel Embiid, they pick up injuries as the season goes by. It's really going to be like guys like Jason Tatum and Jokic who seem to be playing every game. Those guys rarely miss games, right? And guys like Julius Randle going to eat off these changes, man, because they don't miss games. So it's definitely going to affect NBA basketball. I feel like the awards with regards to like the all NBA, I mean, I don't have an issue with this stipulation of 65 games, but I wonder how is it going to look with load management? Like how is it going to look for players trying to get into these all NBA teams while also, being heavily on load management? I'm just curious, are guys just going to be like, I don't know if you guys remember that Drew Holiday clip of fouling Darius Garland so he can get his bonus. Is it going to be like that towards the end of the season where, guys are just going to be playing for a couple minutes and then they get out? We're gonna have to see.
I agree with it, man. You know why? That all NBA team thing, Dame over here missing like I don't know how much games he missed this year, and him coming out saying, "Yeah, I deserve an all NBA first team." Like, come on, man. You're 13th seed, you missed 25 games, and you talk about I deserve all NBA first team. Stop. And I like these new little CBA rules. These with the 65 game minimum. Guys can't sit out, guys can't load manage. Guys that play games and show up like Tatum, obviously Jokic. It's Luka. These guys that play a lot of games, they're gonna deserve that. But guys like LeBron, KD, Curry, I don't think they care about it. At this point in time, when they want to be healthy, getting into playoffs, and all they care about is rings. All they care about is rings. So to see that, it's cool. I have no problem with it. And then all NBA position list. I agree with that as well. The last couple of years, guys like Embiid,
I don't know
they
though.
like
you know why I don't have
but we
have a
gotta pick
slight
the
issue with
five
that.
best players
I
though.
have an issue with that. I feel like
Huh.
guards are just it's gonna suck for the guards, man. That's where it's gonna hurt the guards. Like imagine guys like Donovan Mitchell, guys like Jaylen Brown, guys like any guys that qualify as basically guards. I feel like that's where they're gonna get hurt because it's really just gonna be like the Tatums and the Jokic's and the Embiid. Like imagine you're a guard, you're competing with Tatum, you're competing with Jokic, you're competing with Embiid, you're competing with Giannis. Like we're no longer gonna get the Steph Currys and Lucas as both of our backcourts anymore. It's just gonna be basically one guard at this point. Like it's gonna be
Nah,
incredibly tough.
I feel like it's the best player possible. I'm not Donovan Mitchell and Giannis. We know who's better. Jokic and Giannis. We know who's better. Tatum and
Yeah, but
Giannis.
like they can't
Tatum
make
and
a team though. They can't make a team anymore. Like
hey man, they gotta be happy with second team then.
I would be at least like somewhat happy if it was just like two guards and then the rest, or even just like guard forward slash a center. You get what I mean? But like if it's just like all whatever it is, any position, then like I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't give enough like guards opportunities, and it's just not first team. This is all teams. So guys are gonna possibly get screwed out of being all NBA team because it's positionless now. You're competing with a lot more positions. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I always wanted the position list like that. That's how I feel like it should be the 5 best players, regardless of the position. If Curry's just the point guard that he's the best at his position, and then they put him, Tatum, Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, I'm fine with that. If that's the top 5 best players in the league, that's how it's supposed to be for me. And to speak about the in-season tournament, I kind of do like that idea. They did say they're going to add on all the wins to the team's record after, and 500K to each player after if they do win the tournament. Kind of
Yeah.
like the incentives of that, it kind of makes it nice that especially it's mid-season. It kind of gives a little vibe off like
There's a huge incentive
a
as well.
huge incentive, and it gives a vibe off like UCL soccer. So I kind of do like what it is, and feel like players are going to be more competitive like that. 500K extra in the pocket for a bench player that don't play, shoot, it's free
Exactly.
money right there.
I mean, I think the reason why this they made this rule what it is because they're trying to protect the league going forward. The guys that that are from the past, guys like Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Steph. Obviously those guys are getting up there in age, so all these changes don't necessarily apply to them. Obviously these guys are still crazy talents, but at the end of the day, their careers are obviously are coming to an end. So with all these new rules, 65 games in order to win an award. It's really to protect the brand of basketball being played, for seasons to come, and for these guys to, make load management a thing. I knew this was going to be a problem when negotiating with the NBA and the NBA's Players Association because guys are sitting out marquee matchups when obviously that's where the money's supposed to be made and all the ratings are supposed to be high. So obviously I understand Adam Silver trying to do this, and obviously the players agreeing to it. So, but I have a huge problem with positionless all NBA teams because obviously basketball is not played positionless. So obviously we're not putting 5 big men on the court going up against 5 guards. That's just not how it works. We have guards, we have wings, and we have big men. And like how you mentioned, it's not fair for guys like Donovan Mitchell to go up against Giannis for just one spot on the All NBA team. Like how does that make any sense? Like Donovan Mitchell was going up against his competition, which is all the guards in the NBA, which is the Devin Bookers, Zach LaVine's, the Steph Curry's, Luca, and all that other stuff. Like
Now he's competing with them, and he's competing with Julius Randle and Pascal Siakam, and he's competing with every single forward possible. Like that's just ridiculous to me that guards have to compete with and centers. Like imagine like a guy like De'Aaron Fox, right? Like it can just hypothetically speaking, imagine that this rule was for this season. De'Aaron Fox would have to compete with Jalen Brown. He'd have to compete with Donovan Mitchell. He'd have to compete with John Morant, Steph, whatever. And then on top of that, the forwards, you'd have to compete with Jimmy Butlers and the Pascal Siakam and the Julius Randle and Lauri Markkanen and of course Jalen Brunson. Like it's just I feel like it just expands it just way too much. It's just hard to compete. I guess to compete with Sabonis still too. Like think about that. Like that's just crazy to me.
It's like now not only do they have to play 65 games minimum, now they have to go ahead and they have to play 65 games and try to outplay, other guys across the league that are competing for one spot, the spot that you're competing for. So I feel like this isn't fair. But at the end of the day, this is kind of what the players, put on themselves with all this load managing and stuff. But to speak about the in-season tournament, this is pointless as hell. This makes absolutely no sense. Obviously, us as fans of the game, we're gonna watch it and we're gonna enjoy it. But at the same time, if I'm a player in the NBA, I have zero care for this type of award or this type of trophy at the end of the tournament. There's no point.
You
Playing.
kind of do now though with that money.
What do
Like
you mean?
the incentive to win the tournament, the 500K. Of course, you have an incentive.
What is 500K to guys like LeBron James and
What?
Steph Curry?
Bro,
Hey,
500K.
like he's
Bro,
gonna
hold
donate
on,
that
hold on, hold on.
500K to a cause. He's gonna help some kids out. You feel me?
Forget about that, bro.
Come on.
Wait, hold up, bro. Why you acting like these guys aren't gonna think, yo, 500K in my pocket for just hoping for 3 games? What? Of course I'm gonna do it.
What is 500K to guys like LeBron James and Steph Curry who make that?
No, they care
their
about
sleep.
that, bro. Not like it's high stakes basketball now. It's not playoff stakes basketball, but like I feel like it because people are so like resistant to the idea of change that they're like, yo, why should we even have this? But I feel like it's such a good idea because there's an incentive. It adds on to the win, so it's not just like a separate tournament in of itself. So people are welcome to the idea of like, yo, like this might be good. So I don't have an issue with it, man.
At the end of the day, like nobody's gonna ever come out and say like, yeah, I want to win the NBA midseason tournament. Like, Who's gonna say that coming into the season? Everybody's eyeing to win an NBA championship. 500K, obviously,
Well,
like they said, it's gonna be.
the top 3 seeds are definitely gonna care though. They're gonna care. This is for seeding. Like this adds to your win total. This matters.
So these games, I'm not too familiar with all the add-ons and all the stuff that go into this, but I just know they're adding this in-season tournament.
I
But so
believe this tournament, like it's not a separate tournament in of itself. It adds wins to your win column. So it's not just in of itself separate. I can fact check that as well, but I'm almost 1,000% sure it's not just because if it was a separate tournament in of itself, I would have been like, bro, what's the whole point of this entire tournament? But I believe this tournament in of itself adds on to your win. So let me fact check that real quick because there's a whole bunch of add-ons with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but then at that point, with guys that have to play, obviously, an 82 game season has already been a problem in this league, guys. Of course, with this whole load managing stuff, 82 games is a lot. So, the whole reason why players the 65 game minimum rule for all these awards and all NBA teams and stuff like that is being applied is because guys aren't necessarily playing all 82 games like how NBA greats used to play back in the day. So that's where the problem starts. And guys are already having an issue with making it all the way through 82 games. And then on top of that, if you're a playoff team, you got to play all the way until potentially May or June if you're a good team. So that's a lot of added games onto your body, onto your mental.
Yo, Big Ish, we're talking about the format of the tournament. It's the season's 80 games, right? But the tournament's 3 games, right?
That's it.
So it just adds on to your win column, right?
Win total, yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
I think they said
That's an 85 game regular season.
No. The season's reduced to I think 80 games. The season in general
they
is 80
took
games.
2 games out of the season.
So
Now
they put those games onto
only
the
83 games now. So they added basically 1 game.
yeah. It's one more game on the season.
One game.
Guys are already having this is what I'm trying to say though. Guys are already having a problem with the 82 game season.
We had guys like Tim Duncan and like KG and like all these old head like the way they played back in the day. Kobe, them niggas didn't my bad. They didn't miss a game. Not miss a game. They go to the playoffs, broken fingers. They still hoop. Paul Pierce getting stabbed 11 times, coming back and playing the rest of the season. They still hoop.
In fact, it's just one extra game for the final for the team in the final. So the team in the final game, that's 1 extra game.
I'm done with this. I'm done.
How do you qualify for this playing tournament?
Lord knows, I have no idea how.
Oh no, yeah, who knows?
But either way, though, guys are already having a problem with going through 82 games, and then on top of that, if you're a playoff team, all the extra added games.
These guys are soft, bro. These guys are soft, bro.
Yes, the game of basketball has changed.
D-Lo the other day said my stomach was hurting, so I got to miss 3 games. That's embarrassing. He barely got touched. He said, "Oh, I got a bruise. I can't play." Like, come on, bro. Like these guys
is the type of era of basketball that we're in. The guys are starting to realize that obviously the regular season it matters, but not as much as the postseason. And obviously, guys aren't going into the postseason. Even if guys load manage, and when they load manage, they're not going into the postseason healthy. These guys are still going into the postseason banged up and exhausted and tired. But obviously, this is high stakes basketball they're about to play now. So these guys know that these games are a lot more meaningful than the games being played during the regular season. That's where the issue is, because guys are just upset with the fact that they got to go through an 82 game season. And then on top of that, if they make the playoffs, they got to play a lot of these additional games where they have to compete for an NBA championship. That's I understand if the NBA season was about 60 games and then of course the playoffs and then you cap off at like 82, then that makes perfect sense. That's an 82 game season. You're still playing. Obviously it's not going to be the season's not going to be from October all the way until mid-June, but at the same time, you're going to have a lot of these guys aren't going to be load managing as much because kind of like in the NFL where it's a 17-week season, 16 games being played, or in 17 games being played. Guys are not going to be able to sit out 1 or 2 games because every game matters.
The physicality of NFL and them missing games is kind of different than NBA. These guys, they miss a game, right? And then that same day they're missing the game, they're in Miami turning up, and then they want to fly back to their city after that. That's what they care about. It's not about injuries to me. I feel like, whatever. I just want free time.
No, I don't think you understand. Obviously, the level of physicality between basketball and football is not the same, of course. But the wear and tear on these guys' bodies, each having to go play a game, 3 games in 4 nights. Come on, that's like it's kind of look at it like baseball, where these guys are playing over 100 plus games.
The issue is like they got to spread the games out more. The back-to-backs they gotta cancel.
If they eliminated the back-to-backs, a lot of the issues in NBA would probably go away.
Yeah,
just eliminated back-to-backs completely. Or these five, like the Bucks, like of course they got blown up by the Celtics, but 5 games in 7 nights is ridiculous, man. Yeah. That's just crazy.
You got to kind of spread out the season a little bit more, you know. I feel like that's what they have to do instead of just cramping a bunch of back-to-backs in 5 games, 7 days, or 4 games in 5 nights. That's kind of crazy. I do agree with that, but come on, man. If I'm paying $800 for a ticket and I'm looking at LeBron and Anthony Davis turned up,
so this is the format. So the qualifying round will feature all 30 teams. They're gonna be playing against 3 different opponents. So it's like regular season matchups. So these games basically they take place within the same week, and they're at a neutral site. All those games. So cool. They play each other. The 8 teams with the best record will be in the knockout rounds, a single game elimination. After that, right, whoever wins out of that, it continues on to the same thing, neutral site, and then the winners of that, the season will go on, but at the same time, these matchups will continue to happen as if they're a regular season, and they'll count towards your thing, except the finals. The finals will just be it's just a separate thing. It won't be.
This ends in what? December, I'm pretty sure, right? They say it's gonna
that, yeah. Yep.
So it's kind of like let's use like soccer as a reference. Kind of like we go like FA Cup and then Prem. The schedule being like that.
Yeah, it's so Or some weekend where one weekend that same week it's just. But the thing is, at the same time, instead of just it being the FA Cup, it counts towards your season record. Your
win total. Yeah. Okay.
Except the final game, it won't count obviously because it's the 83rd game.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a smart way to incorporate it. You know, that's taking a page out of the soccer.
And it's a free $500K you win. You know.
Exactly. I honestly don't think a lot of these top guys care for that stuff.
$5 million.
They're like 13th.
Yeah, the 13th and 12th man on the roster. They're like, yeah, bro.
Listen. $5 million to divide among players, coaches, and staff, bro. If I'm a coach, I'm telling these guys, yo, better lock in for me, bro. Yo, Kawhi, I need you to lock in, bro. Can you play?
It's gonna be interesting to see what a lot of these franchises do with their star players when it comes to these type of this tournament. Because
what is it early? November, right? I think.
Yeah.
So nobody's doing load management in November, man. Just no way.
Except Kawhi, you know.
Yeah. We saw Kawhi play 5 games at the beginning of the year, man. We were questioning whether or not he's gonna be back, but
he gotta look fully healthy though, bro. It's crazy how he looks now.
It's just going to be interesting to see how the general managers and the coaches handle this whole thing with their star players, because obviously the whole incentives and stuff like that, I still personally believe it doesn't necessarily matter to a lot of the top guys in the league like LeBron, KD, and Steph, because at the end of the day their ultimate goal is to win a championship. But for the other guys on the roster that don't necessarily make as much as them, like the coaching staff and stuff like that, they're going to have to game plan a little bit differently. Who knows whether or not these star players will be playing at all, but obviously, I'm not the one out there going to play in the tournament, so it's going to be interesting to watch. And I like how they formatted it. Obviously, just kind of putting it in there during the week and stuff like that. And then at the end, eventually, we'll find out what day specifically is when the championship game is. But it's just going to be interesting to see. But I still think it's a little bit pointless because at the end of the day, you much rather play the NBA championship with a shortened season. But obviously, we're going to have to wait and see for the next, Players Association and the NBA talks and the agreements before we go into another lockout. So
record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Yes, now late, now that's overkill.